What's up, photo freaks? This is season 2, and we have the Sony A9 field test coming up right now. What's up, photo freaks? Welcome to season 2. I want to thank you all for watching season 1. We've taken into consideration some of the comments and suggestions, and we're integrating them into our new season. So hopefully we can provide you with better and more entertaining and thorough content the way you guys like it. That's why we're here, and hopefully it's fun for you in that process. So today we are talking to you about our field test that we had with the Sony A9. First of all, I'm going to go over the specs with you. I know some of you guys are going to cry about it, but that's just what we do. We got to throw in some specs for you. So first off, it's got the first full frame stacked CMOS sensor. So this is awesome. The way that the sensor works is you have your pixel layer, and then the pixel layer, and then what do you got after that? I'm gonna look at my notes here for a second because it slipped my mind, and there are a lot of cameras and a lot to remember. So you got your pixel layer, then you got your image processing circuits in between, and then you have your DRAM that's bonded to it. So you got 3 layers, and the DRAM helps everything go really quick. It allows you to have that fast exposure, the frames per second, all that good stuff. This processor is awesome. Okay, then you have the 20 frames per second, which I've already mentioned. You got blackout free shooting. So when you're catching those crucial moments of something moving quickly, you don't have to worry about blackouts. It's gonna be pure shots, so that's excellent. You got 693 autofocus points. This is great. On the A7R III, your focus points only cover about, I think it's like 65% of the sensor. And with the A9, it covers 95% or 93% of the sensor. So you got focus points all over the place, which gives you more versatility and faster focusing. So you have a silent shutter, which the other Sonys have already had. It's really good for weddings. It's nice and quiet, or any other type of events where you need it to be quiet. You have the 5-axis built-in stabilization, which is really good. You got the new Sony battery, which we've all been waiting for a long time. The battery life to be longer, so it's going to have basically double of the amount of shots, double the life. And you put that into the battery grip, and you take that into consideration with the battery grip. 2 batteries, you're set for the day. So you also have ISO, which is up to 204,000. I love this because you maintain your shot quality, and the ISO, which you'll see in our field test, is great. It's not quite the A7S II, but you're getting better shots. So I actually like this a lot better. And again, you'll see in the field test shots. And then you got the dual SD card slots. So this is great. We've all been wanting that too. And the Sony has their own type of CFast card, so it's able to read and write really quickly. A couple of the configurations are a little bit different on the actual body of the camera as well. The record button, they finally moved that for video into a much better spot. And then you got a joystick on there. So those are some of the basic specs. And now let's go on to our field test. So hope you guys like it. What's up, photo freaks? Okay, so right now we're gonna test our focus tracking with Brenda Berry. Say hi, Brenda.
Hi.
She is a fitness champ and NPC competitor. So she does this for a living. She's going to be running around for us, and we're going to see how well the Sony A9 tracks her. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay, so here we have Brenda. Let me describe the shot before we go into each individual slides. First of all, the shot's gonna be going somewhat into the sun, and this is, I won't give the exact time because it's gonna be different wherever you are, but for the record, this is about an hour before golden hour. So keep that in mind as you're looking at these shots. We're shooting, obviously, with the A9. We're using the 70 to 200 G Master. We have it on multi-shot high, wide area, and then we use continuous autofocus, and we also used face registration on this one. So let's check it out and see what we got from it. Okay, so here goes Brenda. She's taking off. Really good focus. It's definitely tracking as it's supposed to. And as you'll see coming up, I mean, look at the hair. Even the hair stays in focus. We actually we had originally told her to stop at a certain point, but the focus stayed so good that we had her keep going even further to push the distance even further. So right here, she's stopping, and she turns around. It's such a good sport. We had her turn around and go again. And then up here, it does lose focus for a second right there. So as you can see, the tracking just loses it for a second, but then right when we keep going, it just picks right up. And then when she gets to the very end, she turns around and she's a little bit out of focus, but we did shoot in RAW and JPEG, and we should have shot in just RAW. So that's going to have an effect on your shots. Also, and it does cause the buffering too. On the way back, as you can see, there's just like one or two little areas where she's out of focus, but for the most part, it stays with her. It tracks her really well. And it's not anything that I mind at all. So I thought it did a really good job. Okay, so here we have focus tracking side to side. I have Brenda start from the far right, and she will go and cross the center of the screen. As she crosses the center of the screen, I start to follow her, which is what you would do with a real athlete running. What you're going to do real world, you're going to try and follow that athlete, not just let them cross in front of you and let them go. And after keeping track with her for a little bit, then I let her go to cross to the other edge of the screen, which is what I want to do. I want to push that limit, because Sony says that the autofocus points, 693 autofocus points, cover 93% of the screen, 93% of the sensor, which is what I wanted to test. I found out that it kept focus really well. I didn't really see any blurring in there. You can see for yourself, and let me know what you think. Okay, so there are the results of the tracking side to side. Keep in mind, these are just for the first time we're using it. We're not doing these shots again and again to give you the one that looks the best. These are the actual test results, and I think they came out really good. And yeah, so now we're going to go on to the next field test. What's up? We are here for another part of our testing of the A9. We're at MB2 Raceway in Newbury Park, and one of our good friends and assistants, Matevos, is going to help us out on our high-speed tracking for the photography side of it. And then we're going to do some videos with him a little bit later. But for right now, yeah, let's see how it performs under high speed. Okay, so our field test of tracking a moving vehicle. To start off, the vehicle goes pretty quick, at least 30 miles an hour, probably around that mark. The settings of the camera. So I had it on continuous autofocus. Obviously no face registration because he's wearing a helmet. Let's see here. I had the f-stop at 4.5. Shutter was at 1/25. And using a 70 to 200 G master. So I had some mixed results here. Again, these are all first time uses. I'm not trying to give you guys the best and take out all the images that are not that great. I want you to see the real actual shots. So some of these shots are out of the frame, but that is for a specific reason because I want to give you guys the raw images. So mixed results. It tracked with him quite a bit. It kept up pretty good. As he got in close, it would drop focus. So I kept a pretty steady hand, as you see in some of the video beforehand. And there's no shakes going up and down or anything like that. But it definitely drops focus as he gets in close until around the corner. It didn't happen every time, but it definitely did drop focus. So it's not enough to deter me from this camera. I can imagine that over time I would get sharper and better at it. And hopefully the camera will adjust with my being able to keep up with its capabilities. So you can be the judge, and yeah, hopefully this helps. And let me know what you think. Okay, so we just left MB2, the raceway track, and we showed you some of the results for that. Now we're going to do some low light video while tracking. So Matevos here is going to get on his motorcycle, and we're going to try out some video there, and then we'll do some low light shots. So this is nighttime video while tracking a high-speed vehicle. All right, Matevos, you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Woo.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Okay, so here we are on the high-speed tracking test. So first we had human running, then we went to the MB2 Raceway, which was pretty fast, but that was indoors. And then I wanted to kind of test several things at once here. So we're testing the high-speed tracking. We're testing the ISO. We didn't use a gimbal, but we did have it on a tripod to try and use some of the stabilization. I think a gimbal would actually be better than the tripod, but we didn't have one, so this is what we had to work with. In the first few passes, we do pretty good at keeping up with Matevos as he's coming on to us. It stays sharp. I like the clarity of it. I like how the lights don't wash out any of the image. It doesn't look horribly grainy. I think it did a really good job. Now, when he passes us, we're at close range, so we're still, he speeds past us faster than we can keep up, but we make adjustments to that. And we could have stood back a little bit further and had him in the frame the first couple of times. But nonetheless, we did it, and I wanted to get as close as possible. So overall, I think it came out really good. Better than I expected, and definitely better than the competitors out there. So I liked it. Let me know what you think on this one, and we will go on to the next field test. Okay, so here we have our ISO test, our low light test. The camera did really well. I love it, and I use the A7R2, which it's not the A7S2, but like I said at the beginning of the video, the balance between maintaining great image quality and being able to shoot in low light. I think this camera's perfect. So on this first picture, I have it at f-stop 3.5, shutter is at 1/80th, and ISO is 25,600. All these shots are with the Sony G Master 24-70. So here it looks really good. Definitely usable shot. And let's go to the next image. Okay, so here's the second shot. It went darker so we can see how it maintains detail in the dark. ISO was 8,000, f-stop 3.5, and the shutter is the same, 1/80th. Same lens, 24-70 G Master. The image looks good. It's definitely dark, but I'd rather go dark and bring it over to Photoshop and get rid of some of the shadows than overexpose, as most of you probably would. So let's go to the next shot. Okay, here I bumped up the ISO to 10,000. Still looks really good. I don't see a lot of grain. I'm sure if I were to blow it up, I'd start noticing some grain in there. But this performs so much better than the A7R2. I love it. I like being able to have this camera, or I would like being able to have this camera and not have to worry about having the A7R2 and then also using the A7S2 or having to need that. So I can already tell where we're going with these shots. So I like what I see. Okay, so different angle here. The f-stop is the same, 3.5. Shutter at 1/30th and ISO at 20,000. Looks good. Still yet to see a bunch of grain in there. It still looks really clear, really usable. I love it. I know Mateos is going to like this shot since it's his bike. So yeah, really impressed thus far. Okay, so on this one, I tried to bump up the ISO even more to really push it. Even though you can obviously go to 204,000, this one is just ISO 40,000, f-stop 3.5, and shutter at 1/30th. Still looks good. Getting a little more grain in there. Definitely liked it at the ISO 20,000. It looks good. I'm really happy with these shots. This isn't anywhere near beyond reason. I can still look at this picture and enjoy it, and it actually still comes out better than my A7R2. So that stacked sensor is doing its job. I love it. So that's it for the ISO test for the low light. Okay, so there's our field test. And just to recap, we started out by shooting an athlete, running away and running back and then side to side. I thought the Sony A9 performed really good. It kept track, and the focus tracking stayed with her. There were only a couple of spots that it fell out of focus, but overall I thought it did really well on that field test. Then we went over to MB2 Raceway to try focus tracking on a high-speed vehicle. I thought it did a pretty good job. It left a little bit to be desired on certain parts when the car came in close, but at the same time, me not being a sports photographer wasn't really good with the hand-eye coordination on that, and I actually could have moved back, and I think it would have done a much better job. But for the sake of the field test, I think it was really good to do that, to be able to test it on shots that maybe it would have passed, because that would have been awesome, and we would never would have known had we not done that. So take what you want from that. I still think it did a really good job. And then we went over to the nighttime video, shot it in 4K. We're testing the ISO and the tracking. I thought it did really nice. Hard time keeping it up with our motorcyclist, Mateos, but it didn't fall out of focus. I think it did a really nice job. Very pleased with it. Then we did the low light shots. overall, I thought those came out really nice, and Mateos is really happy about those, wants a couple of those shots for himself. So is it worth the money? Yeah, I think it is. The fact that I'm getting paid as a professional to provide pictures, it makes it an investment, and I think it's a good price, $4,500. I wouldn't mind if it drops a little bit lower, like maybe to $4,000 or $4,200. That's not going to deter me though. It's definitely worth it. And then it has those added features to it, which are really nice. It has an Ethernet port, which is great for tethering. It's got the touch screen, the dual SD card slots, which we've all been waiting for that, and the Sony version of the CFast card. You got the new batteries, so in use with the battery grip, you're good all day long. And then you have the new location for the record button for video, and many other features. I think this is a really good camera. The Sony A9 passed the test as far as I'm concerned. Let us know what you thought. Leave some comments, hit the like button, and we look forward to seeing you on the next field test. Thanks for watching.